Fancy seeing you here. Hi, I'm Shazza, this is Hooked on Books. I haven't been here in a while, so this is a bit awkward and weird. And today I thought I would look back. I remember I created a goals for 2018 video, a Bookish goals video, and I want to look back at that and react to it and respond to it, and through that kind of maybe figure out what my goals for 2019 are, so let's go. Hello, so today I wanted to do a bit of a chatty video talking about, I guess, some of my goals for 2018 in relation to booktube and reading. First of all, it's so uncomfortable watching yourself on video, oh my goodness. Also, as you can see, my hair is so much shorter now. I don't think I've done a video since I got my hair cut. So this is probably new to you, whereas this is like, watching this is weird to me. And it's also weird because this is when I lived somewhere else as well. Anyway, this is all just very bizarre. I know that this is the time of year in which everyone's kind of reflecting on the previous year. I don't like to spend too much time reflecting because I can get a little bit doom and gloom about it. So rather than do that, what I want to do is look ahead and think about some of my goals for next year. And I've written some of them down, so I'm going to chat about them. One of my major goals next year, which is kind of funny that I've just started this channel, but actually my main goal next year is to cut down in the amount of books that I read. I think that I read too many, and the reason why This is also my goal for this year as well. I did cut down, but not as much as I wanted to. There's some books that are really suited to being devoured, whereas there's some other books that I really think that they deserve more time. I still think this. In literary fiction in which the writing's quite poetic, I think that I need... So I still have a problem with this where I rush through books so often, and my goal for this year, as I've just seen here, was to cut down on the number of books I read. So my Goodreads goal for the number of books that I was going to read was 52, and I think I read 82 or 83 or something. So it was still more than what I wanted. However, in previous years it's usually just slightly over 100, so I've definitely cut down. If I read an entire chapter but don't take it in, I want to allow myself to go back and reread it, which isn't something I do. I want to apply this again next year. And hoping to kind of pick it up as I go along, which means I'm going to be missing a lot of stuff. So I want to dedicate more time to the books that really deserve it, so that I can get more out of them and the books are really getting the attention that they deserve. I really do ramble on, don't I? For goodness sake, shut up. I want to spend more time next year writing, and this channel isn't anything to do with that. I mean, I do have a couple of YouTube videos up. So, I knew that this was going to come up. So basically, yes, my goal this year was to write more, and I have monumentally failed. I was quite good at it the first couple of months, and I definitely cut down on reading with the main purpose being that I would set aside more time to write. And I think because I moved this year, so I had quite a difficult living situation, then I moved house, and then I got more focused on other things, like the fact that I am now studying again. So I'm doing my second undergraduate degree. Now I'm only doing it part-time and it's all online, but I kind of set aside my time for that. I've kind of set myself this weird goal of being like, well, by the time I'm 35 I'd like to have written a novel. Now it's not really with the intention of wanting to get it published, I just really want to prove that I can do it. So as time goes by, your goals and your interests and stuff, they change, and that happens a lot with me, so it's ended up not really being much of a priority for me. Now I have set myself, I guess, another goal for 2019, which is to write a chapter. So having like something specific like that I think is really good. So next year one of my main goals is to write a significant chunk of that. If I could do a first draft, that'd be great, but really it's just if I could write at least half of it, and this is just something that I'm doing for myself. It's not really with the aim of like getting it published. I just like the idea of being able to say that I can do it. Literally so just said that. This year I've spent a lot of time reading, and I think that to write it is really important to read, but preach. I also want to make more poetry videos, so that's a lot of kind of experimental. Yes, so I was thinking about this, how I miss kind of doing that. So I think I've put one or two up on my channel where it's like I have a poem and then I put a bunch of either found footage or footage I create together to create like a poetry film. And I really enjoy playing with sort of sounds and atmosphere and visuals, and combining that with poetry. I think that it's a really nice combination. It's a bit weird usually, and I quite like that, so I kind of want to do a little bit more of that, but it is, again, it's not something that I'm not like setting myself like a really hard and fast goal. It's just something that I would like to maybe look at doing again, because it is something I really enjoy doing. I put up a couple of videos on BookTube way back at the beginning of this year, and I think that's whenever I first discovered BookTube. I only did a couple, and then for whatever reason life got in the way and I didn't continue with it, and this time around I really have kind of made more of an effort to kind of stick with it, and I've really enjoyed doing it, and it's something... So... yes, okay, at the beginning of the year I definitely was really good at being part of BookTube, engaging, watching videos, replying to comments, just feeling like I was part of the community and getting excited about video ideas and trying to be creative. And since June, when I moved, it's rapidly just gone downhill from there. And I guess the biggest reason right now is definitely because my main priority in life is studying. And then obviously I work full time, but there's numerous reasons, and I guess my 2019 goal is to do a little bit more BookTube, because my biggest problem with BookTube is that I just cannot be bothered to do this part. I like coming up with the ideas and I like editing. Really hate sitting down and actually filming, which is, you know, quite a significant part. I am still a complete newbie to it, and still am. I don't know the exact type of content that I want to create yet. Still don't. I just know that I want to, you know, just put out there whatever I want to put out there, and whoever wants to watch it can watch it, you know. I know a lot of people... I agree with everything this girl was saying. I do swear a lot, I can be quite blunt, and I'm very willing to be negative about a book. But it's something that I'm really enjoying doing. I have not changed. Continue with that. So it's a week. Edition of Harry Potter. I want to kind of make that a goal for next year, that I read the rest of them. So I don't remember making that a goal. And I've actually done that. So I've read The Chamber of Secrets, and actually recently I just read The Prisoner of Azkaban. So go me. Another one that I've probably mentioned on here before is I want to read a lot more of the Discworld series by Terry Pratchett. So I have the first 10 in the series. I've read... I don't actually know if I read that many this year. Let me look it up. So that is a goal that I want to continue. It's actually one of the only series that I'm actually quite good at continually wanting to read. I find with other series I tend to read the first one and then not really continue. So I suck at reading series. But I'm pretty certain I read some this year, if I can get it up and find it. So I only read 2 books this year, but actually I feel okay about that, because like I said, I very rarely read series, and I don't want to like dedicate my entire year to trying to read the entire Discworld series, but I just want to read, you know, 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 every year, which I'm going to apply that goal again this year. I just find them really enjoyable to read. I find them good fun. They're silly, but they're imaginative, they're creative, they're very cozy books, and yeah, I'm going to continue that goal for 2019. So far a lot of the goals that I made for 2018, I am bringing them into 2019. They're just slightly altered, I guess, so far. The first 3 so far, so I'm reading them in publication order. I have written down here to read the first 10 books in the Discworld series. I may end up reading more than that. So, yeah, I definitely haven't read the first 10, so I kind of feel that goal. Less than that, but I think that that's an easy goal to kind of go for, because I do actually own the first 10. I think 2015 I read mostly science fiction, 2016 it was mostly fiction, and I think again this year it was mostly fiction as well. So it's always a case of looking at what have I not read enough of. I mean, I've enjoyed everything that I have picked up, but it's always... I think it's the same this year, so I have written down some bits and pieces. I'm pretty certain fiction, yeah, fiction's definitely the thing that I've read the most of this year again. I have put down here to read more poetry. I have monumentally fucking failed this. So I've only read 3 poetry collections, 4 if you include the White Book, which I kind of do, I consider that a poetry collection, so let's say 4. So that really is like barely anything considering. So I've just read here, I've read 84 books in 2018, so only reading 4 poetry collections is pretty bad. But Again, I feel like goals and aspirations and your interests, I feel like they change, and I definitely am a mood reader, and I just haven't really been massively in the mood for poetry. But again, it's a goal that I want to bring into next year. Another goal is to read more graphic novels, and more particularly with that, it's to read more graphic memoirs. I recently read Fun Home. And this is just hilarious, because literally all the things I was thinking about for 2019 is literally just what I'm saying here. I have written down here to read 4 history books that I think I was just trying to give myself some kind of... So I don't remember these really specific goals, so I was not prepared for this, so I'm going to go look again. I'm just on Goodreads at the minute. My laptop's down here if you're wondering what I'm looking at. History books. How many history books have I read? So I've read 2 history books this year, which isn't 4, but there's also some political books I've read this year that I guess you could put in the genre of history. I have recently come across the term of narrative history, and that's something that I think that I might be into. I usually get put off by history. How did I forget this? It's quite funny because I'm actually getting interested in what I'm talking about here, because I'm like, oh yeah, narrative history, I really want to read some of that. But like my interests in books and stuff, it changes, and I kind of gain new interests all the time, and then I have my old interests. I have too many books that I want to read basically, but yeah. I need to remember this narrative history. I need to read some of that shit. I've also written down here to read 4 nature writing books. I think I'll find that kind of easy. Will I? Okay. Again, I'm not prepared for this. I read 1 nature writing book, so monumentally failed that one as well. Not doing so well so far. And I've written here just generally read more non-fiction. I am going into 2019 with in mind that I really want to read a lot more non-fiction, because I've acquired a lot more non-fiction over the year, and I don't get through the books I own enough. You know, I've got more books coming in than I have, like, actually, the ones that I'm actually reading. Does that make any sense? I'm just rambling. What am I even saying? Basically, yes, I want to read more non-fiction. I've also written down here, buy less books. Read what you own and use the library. I think that's just going to be my motto for next year. I have definitely cut down on the number of books that I've been buying. I still buy a lot, and more than I should, and I don't have an issue with the actual, like, spending on books. I'm happy to spend money on books. What I have an issue with is having the space for books, and what I have an issue with is having so many unread books, and having more unread books than read books I find so frustrating, and I think it's always going to be a bit of a problem unless I literally just don't buy books for an entire year. But I have massively cut down, so I have definitely achieved this goal, and it's a goal that I am still taking into 2019 because I don't want to get out of hand again, because it can be really problematic. That has been on my mind probably for 6 months or so. I've had it in my mind that 2018 is going to be the year of rereads. I don't really reread anything, and I think that it's something that's really important to go back to old favourites, to revisit books that you've kind of, you know, you don't completely remember them, and to, you know, just experience what it's like. So what I'm about to talk about is that I was taking part in the Booktube rereadathon. Now, for the first couple of months I was quite good at this, and I did actually read this year. Let's find it. I read a total of, how many rereads? 7 rereads. I read a total of 7 rereads, which is more than any other year, so really that's actually quite good. However, I just completely stopped halfway through the year. And I think, again, it's one of those things that I keep acquiring so many new books that I don't want to spend loads of time rereading books that I've already read. I feel like that's a nice thing to do occasionally, but whenever you become really rigid about it, I just find that it's not as enjoyable, and I kind of just find myself wanting to read whatever I wanted to read. Rereading isn't, you know, the biggest priority in my life for 2019. It's not something that I'm setting myself, I'm not setting myself any goals in relation to that, and I feel like I did okay at rereading, considering it's not something that I ever do. So 2018 definitely was a little bit of a year of the reread for the first couple of months, but after that I definitely failed this challenge. I have also written down on my list to get my eyes tested, so that's obviously a very important year for next year. I still haven't got my fucking eyes tested, for fuck's sake. I can't see with my glasses and I can't see without them. I still can't see with them or without them. Things on here, but anyway, those also the ones that are related to reading.
Okay, that's enough of that shit. Yeah, it's quite funny looking back at that and forgetting how I set specific goals, like for history books, for nature writing books, and how I feel that. I did remember that I set myself a goal of reading more poetry. I remembered that I set myself a goal of writing more, so I was kind of prepared for that, but there was other bits there that I was not prepared for. But I feel overall fairly content with how I did in 2018 in terms of my reading. I definitely cut down on my reading. I'm definitely trying to focus more on the books that I read, and you know, my goals and my interests are always changing, expanding and going here, there and everywhere, and I'm happy to kind of go into 2019 in the same way. Few statistics. I always consider myself a person who reads a lot of translated fiction, and I found it interesting to note that, okay, out of 84 books I've read this year, 18 of those were translated. Now that is a fairly okay number, really, but in comparison to the 84, I'm like, well, it's really not that many. It's not actually the majority of what I read, whereas in my mind, I always feel like I read loads of it. Interestingly, I also always think, oh, I don't read very much non-fiction. I read 18 non-fiction books, which is the same amount as translated fiction that I read this year as well. So your perceptions are, you know, always change, and it's kind of interesting to see how wrong I am. I suppose 2019 is my goal is definitely read more translated fiction, read more non-fiction, and I guess continue with the Discworld Terry Pratchett goal as well that I completely forgot about. Poetry, I'm not setting myself any hard and fast goals on that, but definitely to have read, you know, at least on par with what I read in 2018, which is simply 4 collections. I read 12 children's books this year as well, which is interesting, because I never really read them. And actually one children's book this year is one of my favourite books of the year. I might do a separate video and award prizes for, you know, like best cover, best whatever that I read in 2018, so look out for that. Anything else worth mentioning? Oh, I read 36 female writers, which is interesting because a lot of books that I read that are written by females tend to be my favourite books. And again, why have I read less females? I find it interesting just to think about that, because I don't ever think about it when I'm buying books. I don't consciously try to buy books that are written by females. It's just something that I like to be aware of as I read along, as I go throughout the year. And every year I always read more male writers than female writers. So again, I think that it's important to kind of pay attention to that and maybe try to make more of a conscious effort to read female writers. But 36 isn't bad. So that's all I really have to say. The point here is that I'm going into 2019 saying read whatever the fuck you want to read, and that's that.